That means it was a good vacation.
Right? Yeah, yeah, it's good. Okay. Well, thanks, Catherine. I appreciate you being here today and talking about medical radiography, and maybe some of your other programs as we kind of have our chat, but just appreciate your willingness to answer these questions for our students.
Happy to help.
So, first question I have is, because this is a very popular program, students are very interested in it, but I don't think they really understand the ins and outs of it. So, first question is, when and how often can a student apply for this program?
The medical radiography program is one application per year. It opens up in December typically and then closes end of January.
Okay, so once a year, it's perfect. Okay, and can they apply more than once?
Absolutely. And we have many students that do.
Okay, okay. And then in that regard, how many students are accepted into the program compared to how many apply?
Great question. I get this one a lot because we have 15 seats each year. A cohort of 15 starts each August, and we have about 70 to 80 applicants in the last couple of years.
Okay, so a lot of people wanting to get in, but not that many spots.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the requirements to apply?
So there are the prerequisite courses. They span from a couple of gen ed courses and then some program specific courses. So it's going to be your GE English courses, a GE Math. There's a communication course that students need. You can choose either public speaking or interpersonal communication. Students need to do either human development or general psychology. And then the program specific courses, this is where we get into human anatomy and the lab, human physiology and lab, medical terminology, and intro to radiography.
Gotcha. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about is that intro to radiography. That one is not recommended right away, right? It's like a little bit further down as they work through their prereqs.
It can be. It really depends on each student's individual situation. So there are 6 of the prerequisite courses that students need to have completed before they apply. And because the application opens in December and closes before spring semester is completed, it's really that fall semester that students have to work on those courses if they're trying to apply, their first year, their freshman year at Utah Tech. That can get really tough for students. So it's typical for just the way that the timing works out to need to take 2 full years before hopefully starting the program, just because those prereqs and the timing of the application. So if students are in that wonderful, unique situation where they have a lot of those classes done, they might need to try and get that intro to radiography their very first fall semester, because you do need a grade in that one in order to apply. But if you know that you're going to be taking 2 years to work on your prerequisites, then absolutely I'd recommend holding off a little bit, focus on your English, get some math in, communications, and then we can do the intro to radiography a little ways down the line.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. What is the minimum grade point required to apply?
2.7 GPA is the minimum required. With that said, though, because it is such a competitive program, the more competitive applicants, we're typically seeing 3.7 or above.
Okay, so pretty high grade points.
Pretty high grade points.
Is that their cumulative or is that something with the prerequisite grades?
So that 3.7 is cumulative.
Okay.
The 6 prerequisites that are scored on the application, those straight A's are really recommended as much as possible.
Okay, for those classes. Okay, very
Yeah.
good to know. Very good to know. Um, what is the most important thing that a student should consider when choosing to accept their spot?
Oh, great question. I think really having an understanding about how the program is going to impact your life for the next 2 years. It is a full-time 2-year program. It's 5 semesters, so you do have some summer commitments in the middle there. And it is full on. You have clinicals. These clinicals can be anywhere from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. They can be up to 2 hours away sometimes, just depending on placement and availability. And students are responsible for their travel and getting themselves there. So it is quite a big commitment. We have students that love it. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful commitment, but just be ready for it.
Yeah, it's a serious, like you're full on.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. When do students find out whether or not they're accepted?
Later on in that spring, so typically April about. The students
Okay.
find out, and then they would start the following August.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, what do they do because you have such a small number of slots? What do students typically do when they're not accepted and they're trying for another round, or kind of what they
Yes.
do at that point?
And that's something that we try to talk about, like honestly, right from the very beginning, because the program is so tough. So I really encourage students to have, parallel plans. We have multiple programs in the health sciences that the prereqs are very, very similar. So I have students that will apply for medical radiography and maybe surgical technology or physical therapy assistant in the same year if their interests, kind of span multiple programs. And then they see what happens with the acceptances and kind of make their decision and go from there. I have other students that will apply to multiple medical radiography programs in the same application cycle. So, not just our Utah Tech program. We love them and so hope that they could stay with us, but we understand, and there are other programs in Utah and out of state. And I also have students that are committed and they say, nope, Utah Tech medical radiography, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And they take the year in between. They'll maybe retake a prereq class or two to improve their grade. They might work more hours. That's an important part of the application that students sometimes don't realize is the direct patient care hours. So they can get more points on their application, increase their hours there, and then reapply the following year.
How many direct contact hours are required or recommended for the application?
None are required to be competitive, though. That's the difference here.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be either volunteer or paid experience. Volunteer experience, 70 hours is going to get you the max points possible. That's 4 points for volunteering. If you have a paid position with direct patient health care, you can get bonus points. You can actually get up to 8 points on your application, depending how many hours you have. So if you have about 540, I think it is, about 6 months part-time work, if you're working 20 hours a week, you'll hit the 4 points. So the same as the maxing out on the volunteer side. And then beyond that, if you get to 1,000 hours, like a full year of part-time work, you can get 5 points, and then it goes up from there. So students who have that either CNA, phlebotomist, EMT, medical assisting, those are the ones we see most common.
Mm-hmm.
So students who have those types of positions and are working, over those year and a half, 2 years while they're getting their prerequisite courses, those are the students who have the best chances because they have so many work hours.
Right, right. So it's important to know you need to be having that direct contact right away. Like you can't just like, oh, right before application, because it's going to make you a stronger candidate.
Absolutely. And a lot of positions to be able to get the direct patient care, you're going to need a certification. You might need your CNA certification, your phlebotomy certification, which takes time to get. So, planning ahead is really key.
True for higher ed in general, I'd say, but yeah,
Absolutely.
particularly these harder to get into programs. Okay, so the program begins in August, and you've already talked about how long it is. And students are students able to take other classes while completing the program? Once
Not typically.
no,
Not
okay.
typically. Yeah.
One thing I had heard in the past that I wanted to check out to see if it's still true or true at all. Got to talk to the expert, right? Um, do students sometimes are they encouraged to get their associate's degree on the way as they're building their prereqs, getting those grades up, especially those ones that are very committed to doing it here?
Absolutely. Because a lot of students have those 2 years, those 4 semesters before they hopefully start the program if they're accepted. That is honestly for the prereqs, you're going to run out of prereq classes to take, and you're still going to have semesters, you're still going to have credits, especially if you need to keep your scholarship and be a full-time student. So, yes, to have your classes and your credits be going towards something that's going to benefit you, students will oftentimes pick up their Associate of Science and General Studies and keep taking those other gen ed classes. And it's wonderful to have, by the end of their program, these students will have 2 associate degrees and be fully prepared for kind of whatever path they decide to go after completing the program.
Definitely gives them lots of options.
Yeah.
Um, in the same vein, as far as like once they're in the program, do students typically work while they're in school, or is it too much to do both for most students?
For most students, it's going to be too much to do both, especially because as you get farther on in the program, after your first semester or two, it's more and more and more clinical hours. And again, those clinical hours can be at very different times, they can be far away. And the third, fourth, and fifth semesters do include some rotating Saturday clinicals. It is just kind of really difficult sometimes to get a regular work schedule on top of all of that.
Right, right, right. So you've definitely hit on this. Students will obtain clinical experience because
Yes,
they are, sounds like for multiple semesters, they have that opportunity.
absolutely.
Excellent. Um, let's look a little bit about the career because I think a lot of students that come in are really attracted to that career. How much does a medical radiography career professional make?
Yeah. So it can vary depending on experience and kind of where you are in your degrees. I do know that starting salary just over here at Intermountain Health for a new graduate, $29 an hour.
That's pretty darn good, I'd say.
I'd say so too.
Yeah,
And then it
no,
goes up from there.
yeah, okay,
Mhm.
okay. And are there normal work hours for somebody in this profession?
It depends on where they work. If you work in a hospital setting, it's kind of more similar to nursing schedules. It could be, 10-hour shifts and then multiple days off. There could be on call, nights, weekends. If you're in more of an outpatient setting or, an imaging practice, those
Mhm.
are going to be your more typical, weekday hours.
8 to 5-ish kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And other professions. Okay, so if it's, are there other professions a student could pursue with this degree?
There's advancement professions, I would say. So with your Associate of Applied Science and the certification that students earn, that kind of intro level position, that $29 an hour that we mentioned, that's where you're at. Some students, though, decide to continue their education. There are programs, there's like bachelor completion programs, or just ones where you can specialize in different modalities. So I have students where their eventual career goal might be to be a diagnostic medical sonographer, where they really want to get into radiation therapy, things where you can take your beginning degree, go get more education, and specialize.
Mm,
And students can kind of build their own path that way.
gotcha, gotcha. And that's why there's these various names for it for us that don't
Yes.
know what's what. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so they could specialize because I hear some of them really, I want to do the baby, the sonogram,
Yep.
the baby, and so that would be
Yeah.
specialization, correct?
Yeah, so that would be after, so you'd do your 2 years, get your AART certification, and then you'd have to go do further schooling to get the sonography certification. And that's going through our program.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
So, what piece of advice might you give a brand new student who is interested in pursuing this career path, this major? Um, what would you say, like what would you say to them?
Think the biggest thing is just honestly that planning ahead piece, being aware of how competitive it is, because then you can do everything in your power to set yourself up. I mean, the medical radiography website, the program website has the application scoring guide right there for students full year round. So you can see exactly, okay, if I get this grade, here's how many points it is, here's how many hours, and here's how the points are going to be affected. So you can really set yourself up well to be successful from the get-go.
And do you have any information on job placement for students that graduate? Are they all walking away with a job, or do you know that
I
far
actually
ahead?
don't know. I don't know that one quite yet. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. It just totally popped in my head, but I imagine um that they would easily be able to find a position.
Yeah, I
I
would expect so.
yeah, okay. Well, anything else you want to add, Catherine? This has been very, very helpful.
Oh, good. I think we covered a good amount.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time and your willingness to share. Um, and I hope you have a good day and you get a little time back, right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye.